boys were like saying some really rude racist things. Oh, it's hard. It's really hard. Maybe I have corona because it's a dangerous world we live in. We ran. It's like 60 degrees outside, but it feels like 100 in my house because we haven't opened a single window since all the fires started and the air became literally toxic to breathe in. So hello. People say that you learn something new every day. Something I've learned over the past 2 days that I've tried to consecutively film this video for 2 hours each time, I've learned that I'm a very boring speaker and a very terrible storyteller. Anyways, yeah, like I said, I tried filming this video. I had everything organized and I was just like talking for like 2 hours, and I even edited both of those videos. I did do all the cuts to see what it would end up like, and it was just so boring. Like, I couldn't even sit through the first 3 minutes of my own video. So I decided we're just gonna take it down a little. We're just gonna relax. I tried to film when there was nice natural light, but guess what? The skies are literally gray. We are in the middle of an apocalypse named 2020. So I had this video like actually planned out on my journal and like points I want to talk about, but I realized I was just like, oh my gosh, I learned that having connections is important in my first year. I learned that time management is so important in the first year. Like, so I decided just to make this video a bit more spicy, I'm just going to look through my Snapchat memories and just give you guys some actual stories of things that happen that I find funny sometimes, and then share what I learned through those experiences while I go through them. I should probably give you guys some background information. I go to University of Washington. I'm in pre-sciences. I don't have a major yet. A lot of people ask me about my major, but UW, you can like get accepted into your major as a freshman, but sometimes you don't. So they put you in like a pre-whatever. So I'm basically in pre-sciences. So I'm just like looking at a bunch of different STEM majors just in case I don't get into one of the ones that I want to get into, because UW has a competitive major system. I have some questions that I got through Instagram, so I will probably answer all of those in a little mini Q&A towards the end of the video. Anyways, let's go into our Snapchat. Alright, here's me. Okay, let's go all the way into our memories. Let's scroll down all the way to September of last year. I know this is kind of a weird time to be making this video because some people are already back at school with their entire new school year, but technically I only got out of school like pretty recently because I took summer quarter as well. My school's a quarter system, so we start school like late September and we end like mid-June. Also, I'm still going to try to blur some of my memories just because, I mean, I'm pretty open about everything. I have nothing to hide, but at the same time, I don't think it's like necessary to expose like the whole 500 snaps of me crying over the span of 1 month in my memories to the entire world. I will be blurring some people out just because I'm not sure if they're okay with their faces being in my video. Okay, so here's September. This is basically my dorms. So that's what it looks like. We have West Campus and we have a North Campus, and this is North Campus where I stayed, and it's like fresh new buildings, so it's just really nice. And this one was when I think it was literally like the first floor meeting that we had. So before you go to college, after you basically decide where you're going to go, you kind of start meeting new people online. So you can join like Facebook groups. So you join those, you start talking to people, you post stuff about yourself, and people will like DM you messenger, text you and stuff like that. So you do get to meet some friends online before you go to school. I did meet a friend online, and when I had the floor meeting, I recognized him and I was like, wait, like aren't you so and so, you know? So we just like hung out, and then I was like trying to get into my dorm after the floor meeting, and this is what happened to my keys. And then we basically just have a bunch of events that freshmen can go to just to socialize and kind of get a look around the campus, and one of them was outdoor movie night. This is basically the quad. We basically had like a whole movie screen set up there, and they were playing Crazy Rich Asians. This is another Dog Days event that I went to in the square of our school. They had an outdoor party. Yeah, this one was when I looked up my first math professor.
I've realized in college, professors really do make or break the class. Our math professor had a thick Asian accent, but it wasn't like it was so difficult to understand him. Like, I understood him perfectly fine, but I remember for the entire quarter, the whole atmosphere of the class, of like the lecture, was just so disrespectful. Like, I don't know how to explain, but you just know, you can just hear people like snickering. And oh my gosh, I remember it was literally last lecture, so it was just like a whole like final review lecture. Like, these group of boys were like saying some really rude racist things and some really disrespectful things regarding his accent behind me. And at one point I remember hearing this guy say, oh my gosh, is he even speaking English? So I like kind of snapped and I turned around and I was like, can you stop being so disrespectful? Like, you don't need to like the professor, but you also don't need to be an asshole. And then he was like, oh, sorry. And then they didn't say anything for the rest of the class. But like, what was surprising was like when I turned around, like 2 of the group of boys were Asian too. I was like, are you guys serious right now? And yeah, I like rehearsed that line in my head like 5 times before I actually turned around. I'm an INFP, I'm introverted. My heart was like, people like that need to be called out, guys. That's so mean. Oh, this. I had like a whole dilemma with textbooks. First quarter, I made the mistake of buying some of my textbooks. You can probably get your textbooks for free online. Library Genesis. Textbooks will break your bank. So definitely check online if they're available for free first. This was when I went to a different open workshop event. I'll insert a clip of the dance that I learned in that class, and the choreography was actually done by a UW student that is in that dance team, so it was really cool. It was such a small studio, but it was like literally packed. Like, I couldn't even 50% my moves because there was just so much people around me. So I remember struggling in the studio, and then I just like wanted to practice it when I came back, and then I filmed the video with a friend who was also at the workshop. This is the first and only football game I went to. It was definitely a cool experience though, because I mean, football games in high school and football games in college are different. Like look at this. I went with my roommate and her friends, and they were really nice. I'm just like really introverted, especially when I'm in a group of people that already know each other, so I was just there like how do I start talking to these people? But they were all like super really nice and everything. Now we're on to October. This is when my roommate Rachel and I tried studying in our floor lounge, and we were just kind of having a little breakdown. This was when I went to my first party. It was an experience. I definitely only went to parties if I had everything done. In the beginning of the quarter, it's like silly week, just like before you actually dive into like doing tons of assignments. So I think I only went to parties like in the beginning of the quarters, unless they were bigger events like a Halloween party that I went to and a formal party that I went to, which I will like probably talk about later. Nothing too interesting in October, I guess. Here's my roommate. This is when so there's a bowling alley on campus, and usually students like do have to pay, but one of the church RSOs on campus was having like a bonding night, and they just had free bowling, and I'm not religious, so I kind of felt guilty for being there, but my friend was like, you know, it doesn't really matter, you should come with me. So I went. This is when after bowling, a bunch of people and I went to get bingsu. Our school has a nice street right next to the campus with a lot of food, especially like Korean food. Because we do have a lot of international students, we have like a nice bingsu place, so we went. Here's a different bingsu that we got. This is me really confused because we got assigned seats for our midterms, but I wasn't on the list, so I kind of freaked out. This is when I went to have dinner with some friends that I met on that bowling night, and we hung out at the lounges a lot. We came into the lounge and the chairs and the desks were like this for some reason, so we just thought it was funny. Oh, I think this was my first breakdown of college. Okay, I think this is a perfect place to say that college is freaking hard. If elementary school is like here and middle school is here and high school is a bit of a jump from middle school, the jump between college and high school is like 2,000 miles. You need to study. When they say start studying a week in advance, they are not kidding. When they say try to get an assignment like at least 2 days before, because you will not be able to finish before the 11:59 deadline if you start on the day of, they mean it. Also, I just thought this was cute. She left this note on the mirror for me. This is just me and my friends studying together. I think it's really important to find some friends that you can also like hang out with, but at the same time can really focus and study and really push each other. And you know, like people come and go, especially in the beginning of college because everyone's new. You will end up in the right friend group with people who have similar values as you, who click with you, who prioritize the same things with you, etc. And then I remember I think I came back home this weekend because I was finished with all my exams. This is just my friend walking through the square. I have some more breakdowns, and this is when I got Halligalli to play. I realized that in college, board games are actually pretty fun, especially when you're like with a group of friends. So I like invested in Halligalli and we actually played it a lot throughout the year. So this is another one of the nights when I hung out with that friend group. I think this was Halloween night. So we just ate together at a lounge, and we also watched The Conjuring together because it was on Netflix. And this is the Halloween party that I talked about earlier. So our Korean Student Association paired hands with, I think, Taiwanese Student Association, and we borrowed out a whole 18 plus club and they had a big Halloween party. Ah yes, the occasional search of how to drop out of society on WikiHow. Here's my friend James popping off to some songs at dance team practice. There's a more K-pop centered dance team, and I decided not to join that one because as much as I love K-pop, I also wanted to do some like actual hip-hop and urban and stuff like that. I had a friend who lived in an apartment in Seattle. Once we went up to his rooftop and we just had a barbecue. Yeah, we just ate cookie. And this was the view from the lounge that we were in. So really nice. Here's some more views. It was so pretty. This is when I signed up for classes for the next quarter and it completely flopped. They prioritize you by your grade standing, so seniors get to select courses first and then like juniors, blah 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 blah. As a freshman, I think I had like the last day to register. I did not get the classes I want with the professors I want, so I was really stressed out. We do have like a system where you can sign up to get notified whenever someone drops the class, so I signed up for that and I was able to snatch all my classes I want when someone dropped it, so it all worked out at the end. This is when our dance team met up at our dance team leader's apartment, and their apartment had like a nice arcade room slash karaoke room, and we just like did a little potluck kind of thing. So everyone brought food and we just hung out, and we also watched a bunch of dance covers on YouTube. We also we tried baking cookies because we have like a kitchen in the lounge on every floor, but this is how they turned out. We did not know they were gonna flatten out like that. Look at her holding it up. This is a group of friends I met through chemistry, and we studied chemistry together. This is when my friend had a bunch of friends over at the lounge, and he literally cooked us a Thanksgiving meal. So this was our little Friendsgiving. This is another Friendsgiving that we had. We had our own little like hot pot kind of thing going on. Our dorm building also had music practice rooms, and inside of them they had pianos. I quit piano in 5th grade, but I've always like wanted to come back to it. You know, piano's really stressful when you're actually competitive and you're like doing it, but once you quit piano, you really miss it. Maybe that's just me, but I was so happy to find pianos, so I would sometimes just go in there and play songs that I want to play. This is when they were trying to film TikToks. I remember we were trying to learn the Renegade. I found Poopery at Costco. Poopery saves your life, especially if you're living in a dorm with multiple people. And now we're in December. So December was like the end of fall quarter. It's like actual final testing season. So yep, there's already a breakdown. Me and my chem study friends at the library. We found some Korean on the whiteboard. We were there to the point that we weren't there until very late. We were there until very early. We were starting to lose it, as you can tell by us just cracking up over like this little video. But yeah, we were breaking down. So this is my beautiful friends. We also like ate while studying because there's a cafe under this library that stays open until pretty late. And here's a little note that Rachel left me again. And then, oh my gosh, here's a funny story. The morning of the test, my nose started bleeding, but it wouldn't stop. And I was like, I can't wait for my nose to stop bleeding because the test is gonna start. So I was walking over to the test with like tissue stuffed up my nose and like a little plastic bag to keep all my bloody tissue in, and like a batch of fresh tissue in another hand. It was crazy and embarrassing, but it was definitely funny. So I think this was my last final. So after that, we went to get some post-final celebratory brunch. And here's Izzy, me, and Eileen. We took a bus to a city next door to watch the holiday parade. And then we came back to campus, got some ice cream, and we watched Parasite at a lounge. And then I came back home for the holidays because I was done with my finals. Finals are stressful. Usually in the classes that I've taken so far, it's been 2 midterms and a bigger final. And the final can be like literally 40% of your entire grade. Really, the things that make or break your grade are your exams. And it's hard. It's really hard. And then here's when I met up with Ashley and Mikey to bake cookies. And then I came back to school, I guess, because then my snaps are back to me being in my dorm. Here's Eileen. Here's her trying to learn like a TikTok dance. And here's us in the light rails. So Seattle has like buses and we also have light rails. And if you are a student, you do pay like a one-time fee for it, but once you pay that fee, your student ID is basically your transportation card, so you're free to like basically go to anywhere in Seattle. There was like a new hot dog place. It was like those Korean like Myeongnan hot dog type of stuff. So we went and we had some. It was really good. Here's us kind of going crazy. This is us studying in one of the meeting rooms in my dorm. You know, college does just like make you so sad that even the lamest things make you like laugh, like this. I told you guys that I went to parties in the beginning of the quarter. We were done with winter break, so this is the beginning of a new quarter. So we went to another party. So here's just us getting ready in my dorm room. And we were just playing around with the wide angle camera. Some more pictures of us getting ready. But this is just us at the party. We literally lived in the library. Our school has a bunch of restaurants on campus that you could like use your card for, your dining money, and one of them is like more expensive, a little bit more bougie feeling. They have like steak and stuff, so we went to try it out. And Eileen ordered salmon, and that's the thing that came. Oh my god, I have a story about this. The street with all the restaurants next to our campus is really nice, but once it gets dark, it can get a little sus. But we were walking back down to go back to campus, but we ran into someone who was like really sus, and we literally saw him like look our direction and reach into his pocket. It's a dangerous world we live in. We just got super geeked out, so we like literally we ran. Yeah, if you're in the city, stay safe. And then I guess I came back home because here's some more videos of again, us living at the library. Okay, I won't play these videos just because I sound absolutely horrible in them. I literally think that like maybe I had corona because I was so sick, but I've never been that sick in my entire life. Like it was a whole new sensation of being sick for me. Like I was so cold, but I had a fever and I was like sweating like cold sweat, and I was shivering like crazy. I was like, and you could hear my teeth chattering, and put on like my Sherpa like quarter zip and like 2 layers of pants and stay under my sheets, and I was still cold and I was shivering so much that I was like, you know what, I gotta take meds. And when I got up to take like an Advil that I had, and it was like those gel Advil, so it was like in a pack. Whole body was shaking so much that I couldn't even like rip the thing open, and my throat hurt so much. Like my throat has never hurt that much in my entire life. I've never shaken that much in my entire life, and it was just very scary. It was like when corona was like starting to bloom, so maybe I was just being paranoid and like it was just placebo effects, but I felt like I had trouble breathing too. Like also, speaking of being sick, I feel like in college you're like always sick because you're just around so much people. Yeah, I don't know, maybe that's just me. It was like I'll get a cold and then I'll feel better, and then I'll get a cold again and then I'll get better. It was like an endless cycle. Also, speaking of like being around a lot of people, UW is a huge school. All my classes that I took were huge. I think the only class that was below 100 students was my film class and my English class, and everything else was like well above 100. I think honestly most of them were well above 200. This is my dance team. We were doing like a really late night practice at a studio, and we were just waiting for the studio to open, and they were just like filming TikToks on the streets. And this is the day of our dance performance. This is what happened after the event. So some KSU members and our dance team, we just ate out together until super late. You see alcohol because like this is college, some people are above drinking age. And we were just blasting music and going off. Like here's our dance team dancing to one of the songs that we knew. This was one of my best memories of my first year in college. So in Seattle, it rains for so long. So this was when it was like finally sunny in Seattle. This is us studying for math. And then this was the KSA formal that I talked about. And at one point they started playing K-pop, so that was pretty interesting. And then this was when Corona started happening. It was literally the very end of winter quarter. So some exams, like the math final, I remember for me was canceled completely, but we still did have a chem final, and it was really iffy because some people were already going back home because of the pandemic. This is my chem study group studying for the final. And then we came home after that, and honestly, this is the end of the interesting things I have from my school year in my Snapchat memories, because after that, all the classes were online, everyone stayed home. Now I'm gonna go ahead and, I know this was pretty long, I'm going to go ahead and answer some of the questions that I got on Instagram. 곧 1학년이 되는데 대학에서 살아남는 팁 알려주세요. I feel like time management is super important. I know you probably hear this all day, every day from anyone. Definitely set your priorities. If you get behind once, it's going to be so hard to catch up. So time management is key, and setting your priorities. Best/worst class you took? I think the best class I took was the psychology class, just because I've never taken a psychology class before, and the class itself wasn't like super stressful, and it was just, I definitely learned a lot of super interesting stuff in that class. And I also liked my professors, so definitely psychology. And the worst class I took has to be one of the chem classes I took, just because I did not click with the professor at all. 미국 대학은 과제가 주로 어떤 형태인가요? 에세이 등등. 수업마다 다르지만 뭐 영어 수업을 들었을 때는 당연히 에세이 쓰는 과제가 많았고, 이제 수학은 학습지나 뭐 온라인으로 수학 문제 푸는 것도 있었고요. 그리고 화학 들었을 때는 실험하는 거랑 실험 리포트 쓰는 거랑 온라인 수업도 있었고 학습지도 있었어요. 심리학 수업 들었을 때는 연구 참여하는 게 좀 많았고, 그 다음에 film class 같은 거 들었을 때는 I had to write a manifesto, I had to write essays, I had to write movie reviews, and I also had to write some short responses to the readings and viewings that we had to do, and I also had to make a zine. 그리고 또 컴퓨터 사이언스 수업 같은 거는 매주 코딩해야 되는 프로그램도 있었고요. 제일 많이 먹은 학식은 뭔가요? 제 브이로그에도 나온 적이 있는데 샐러드를 많이 먹었던 것 같아요. 그리고 그 카페테리아가 제 기숙사 바로 옆이었어가지고 거기 되게 많이 갔습니다. 미국 땅이 땅인지라 많이 넓어요? 오토바이나 스쿠터 타고 다니는 학생이 있나요? 자전거 타는 사람들은 많고요. 그리고 딱 한 번 그 전동 킥보드 타는 사람을 본 적은 있는데 진짜 딱 한 번이고, 거의 다 걸어 다니거나 아니면은 자전거를 탑니다. 캠퍼스가 못 걸어 다닐 정도로 넓지는 않아요. 그리고 캠퍼스 내에서도 셔틀버스랑 그냥 버스들이 다니는데 그런 거 막 시간 맞춰서 나가고 이런 거 신경 쓰기보다는 그냥 차라리 걸어가는 게 저는 개인적으로 편해가지고. 대학에서는 다들 공부를 열심히 하는 분위기인지 궁금해요. 웬만하면은 확실히 다들 열심히 해요. 솔직히 대학 가서 어느 정도 열심히 안 하면은 졸업을 못할 수가 있어요. How was the transition from high school to college? Was it hard to adapt to? It was definitely stressful just because everything's so different. Something that I found super stressful was in the beginning of the year when it was my first time registering for classes. You have like complete freedom of what you want to do and like what classes you want to take. I think I said in the beginning of the video that I'm not in a major yet, but basically to apply to a major you have to take prereq classes before applying to that major. So I was worried about my prereq classes for applying to majors and multiple at that, because I was thinking of multiple majors, graduation requirements, and it was just all really stressful. But something that really helped me out a lot with that was knowing someone who's older than me who goes to my school. I definitely asked them a lot of questions and asked them for a lot of tips. That was definitely one of the most helpful things in transitioning to college. Do you have tips on making new friends? I don't know about smaller schools, but our school, like I said, is huge, so it was really difficult for me to make friends at first, especially because I'm super introverted. What I noticed though is that because, especially if it's like a huge school like this, you have to put yourself out there and you have to really reach out. So for example, if you meet someone that you think you click with that happens to like sit next to you at a lecture of like 200 people, you have to get their contact information like day of, because the chances of you running into the same person in a class of 200 people is honestly really slim. In high school, you have a reason to meet the same people every day without ever having to step out of your own box, you know? Like you're in the same school, same classes every day, same teacher, same friends. But in college, it's not like that. You have to be the one to make plans to meet because there is no occasion to like continuously meet the same people over and over again. I think that's why joining clubs and stuff like that is actually really helpful in making friends because they give you a reason to meet the same people continuously.
대학 기숙사 생활이 어떤지 궁금해요. 통금이나 규정이 빡세나요?
저희 대학 기숙사는 통금이라는 게 없었어요. 뭐 대충 평일에는 10시고 주말엔 12시였나? 하여튼 대충 이 시간이 지나면은 최대한 조용히 해달라 quiet hours 하는 건 있었거든요. 근데 통금처럼 막 몇 시까지 들어와야 한다 이거는 아예 없었어요. 막 새벽까지 도서관에서 공부하다가 기숙사에 들어오고 싶다? 그것도 가능했고 네, 통금은 없었습니다. 팀플, 여러 사람이 같이 하는 과제가 많은가요? 저는 1년 다니면서 팀플을 한 적이 한 번도 없어요. 발표를 한 적도 한 번도 없고요. 근데 이게 제가 아마 들은 수업들이 정말 다 엄청 인원이 너무 많은 수업들이어서 그렇던 것 같고 네, 하여튼 저는 팀플을 한 적이 한 번도 없습니다. Okay, these are all the questions I'm going to be answering from my Instagram today. So that definitely marks the end of my video. I had some fun revisiting my memories. Anyways, stay safe, wash hands, wear masks, and I hope everything clears up for all of us soon. Thanks for watching my video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye. Oh my god, I need to sleep. I need to drink water. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna lose my voice.